Hi, kids. It's Spike here, along with my friend Chris, who is an expert about disabilities.
Hi there.
We're going to talk to you about a very serious topic today.
Spike, you're right, this is important. Everyone should be prepared for emergencies and natural disasters, including people with disabilities.
Kids, natural disasters can mean flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, and earthquakes.
Flooding is when there's a lot of rain, and there's a large amount of water that goes on land from streams, rivers, or the ocean.
A tornado is a large and violent funnel-shaped cloud that has high-speed winds that destroy anything in its way, like houses and trees.
And a hurricane is a storm that forms in the water and brings a lot of rain and winds that stay at about 75 miles per hour or higher. That's really fast.
An earthquake is where the ground shakes and can split apart. Kids, there are many types of disasters, and they are all different. The thing to remember is that while we can't prevent them from happening, we can be prepared. We're going to tell you more about it now.
Spike, I have lived through all of the types of disasters we just talked about.
I bet they were scary times.
They were, but I was prepared. In each case, my family and I listened to the radio and TV to find out information about the storms before they hit, and we had a plan so we could stay safe. Every student watching this and their family or people they are living with should make a plan in case disaster strikes. Spike, I know you have a friend in Tennessee who survived a really bad flood back in 2010. Why don't you take us down there?
Spike's plane, you are cleared to land.
Great idea, Chris. I'm here at Richland Creek, which is right next to where my friend Cassandra Farmer used to live. Basically, this creek turned into a raging river. Cassandra is going to tell you what she went through on that scary day in 2010.
It literally was a flash flood. By the time we realized there was a problem, the problem was already on our doorstep.
Cassandra Farmer, her mom, grandmother, and 4-year-old niece were home on a night in 2010. It had been raining nonstop, but their house and property had never flooded before, so they thought everything would be okay.
I kept hearing them say, the creeks are getting really high, you should, if you live close to a creek, you should probably be paying attention, and then eventually they did start to say, you probably want to evacuate certain areas. And I remember going into my mother over and over again and being like, this is what they're saying, what do you think we should do? And her being like, there's never even been water in our yard. Why? We're gonna be fine. There's never even been water in our yard. So finally did get a little bit of sleep, and we got up for church around 9 o'clock, and it sounded like somebody had left a faucet on somewhere in the house. And so we're all looking, trying to figure out where this water sound is coming from. My mom looks out the door, and there is water just coming up to the bottom of her car tires on her car. So my mother says, everybody get dressed, and we're gonna get out of here. In the 5 minutes that it took us all to get on pants and shoes and kind of get ready to go out the door, the water had already started to come up through the air vents that were in the floor. It had already suctioned our front door closed, and it had already wiped a staggered 2-story ramp that was up to our front door off of the house.
Things were really scary and only about to get worse. Cassandra's mom helped get Cassandra's grandmother and niece into the attic using a metal ladder. However, they couldn't get Cassandra, who uses a wheelchair, into the attic. Cassandra did have a life jacket, so she put that on.
So we put that on me thinking, okay, at the very worst, at least it'll keep me floating. Not thinking at all that we were going to be in our house for 5.5 hours in about 5.5, 6 feet of water. My mom is 4'11". I'm 5 foot. The water eventually washed my chair out from underneath me. My mom wouldn't go into the attic because I couldn't get into the attic. And so we clung to this metal ladder the whole time.
Rescue crews were trying to get to Cassandra and her family.
Eventually we could hear like a fishing boat or like some kind of motorized boat going up and down the street. And we were giving them all these identifiers. Our house was this buttercup yellow color. And so we're telling them the house is, buttercup yellow. It has, black shutters. It has white doors. Like, we're giving them all these identifiers, not knowing that outside of the house, the water was already up to the roof line. So we're hearing them come and go and come and go. And they're saying, we can't find you. We can't find you.
Cassandra's family realized they needed to give another landmark, or something near their home, that might help the rescuers coming in by boat. There was a tree that had the top chopped off. That was the key information that emergency crews needed to find them. Most of the pictures that you are seeing are of Cassandra's house after the flood.
So the boat gets there. They cut the motor. It is slamming into our house. They break a window, which then pours even more water into our house. And my mom just kind of grabs me by the life jacket before they've even cleaned all of the glass out of this window and pulls me to her and then throws me at the firefighters to get me out of the house.
In the end, all 4 of them were able to get out of the house.
We were very, very fortunate in a lot of ways to have community and have great friends, and we were so lucky, but everything changes in an instant, in a heartbeat. And all disasters are terrifying, but I think that we underestimate the power of water a lot.
Cassandra is a good friend of mine, and I'm glad she's all right. Kids, Cassandra could have died that day. Her story isn't meant to scare you, but we all need to be prepared. It could mean the difference between life and death. Chris, why don't you introduce us to your friend who survived a tornado here in Tennessee?
Thanks, Spike. I'm here at Volunteer State Community College, which was hit by a tornado in 2006. My friend Evan Espy was at the college that day, and I want you to hear from him about what happened.
Where I attended college and got my associate's degree, it actually got hit by an F3 or F4 tornado, and the campus received heavy damage, and I was on campus that day. We had to evacuate. I was in the campus center. I worked in student government at the time. I was the student body president, and we were told to get down to the basement of the student center. My father worked at the community college at the time as well, and he was in a different building. And because cell phone towers and everybody was trying to call everybody they knew at the time, we didn't have a whole lot of, back and forth. But we kept kind of trading voicemails through missed calls and so we knew each other was okay. And then as the weather passed and the administration of the college and the first responders who were in terms of campus security, were on campus, moved us to the gymnasium. That was a building that was not affected. So I was able to rendezvous with my dad there and other people that were on campus. And we knew, believe it or not, we had no injuries and we had no fatalities. We had no major injuries and we had no fatalities because we'd actually done preparedness. The president at the time made each building have building captains and made everybody in the building go through disaster preparedness in terms of where would we go. The bathrooms, they're usually the more stable in terms of public buildings and the most interior parts of the building. And everybody survived who was on campus that day.
Evan helps train people with disabilities. Evan uses a wheelchair himself. Evan is now going to share with us some tips on how we can all be better prepared for disasters. It's important to pay attention to what Evan says.
There are some simple things that everyone can do to make sure you are prepared in case there's an emergency.
Having supplies on hand, and not just food and water, but you want to make sure that you could potentially get enough medications to cover you for 3 or 4 days if the pharmacy isn't open or if you can't get to the pharmacy. You want to make sure that you have enough durable medical equipment that you use on a regular basis, especially if you have to evacuate your home and be in a shelter for an extended period of time. You want to have information about your disability, who your doctors are, where you go for your care, and save all of those documents in fireproof and waterproof document protectors, and keep that in a kit, and keep that kit in a central location in your house that you know where it's always at, and you can either grab it or have somebody who's helping you evacuate grab it very quickly.
Examples of durable medical equipment are wheelchairs, canes, and blood sugar test strips for people who are diabetic. You also want to make sure that someone you live with has a fully charged cell phone, so if the power does go out, you can still call for help.
Accessibility is one thing. Storms don't think about keeping things accessible. So having debris in the way can be a major thing for anybody with any sort of physical impairment. So being able to call for help, let first responders know that as they're coming into your area for recovery and rescue, hey, I'm in here, I'm also in a wheelchair, and I physically can't get out the door because there's rubble in between me and my doorway. And they'll know to come and check on you.
And there's even things that children can do to make sure they are prepared.
They can make their own emergency preparedness kit with some extra clothes that they don't wear all the time and put that in a bag. Some of their favorite toys, have those at the ready so that they will have something to do if they do have to be evacuated. And, work on drills with your mom and dad or whoever you live with about where would you meet in the event of like a house fire.
Kids, I want to recap a few of the things that people can do to be prepared. Make sure you have extra food and water. Have enough medications and medical supplies to last a few days, and plan out where you would meet your family or people you are living with if there is an emergency.
Thanks, Evan, for telling us all of that.
Kids, a lot of times you don't have much notice as to when a disaster might happen, so it's important to be prepared ahead of time. We'll see you next time.